Welcome back to my channel. Today's discussion will be about Series 16. Series 16 is another themed series, this time around trick-or-treaters. This series was released in the fall of 2008, which is perfect timing for the Halloween season. So, as my previous other videos, I'm going to say what I think is the MVD doll of the series. So let's start with Eleanor. Eleanor is a fun doll. She is a ghost character. She comes with this classic, simple ghost costume. Little cutout eyes, which was very popular between the 1920s and the 1970s. She reminds me of one of the kids from the Peanuts special, The Great Pumpkin, which also debuted in the late 60s. Her death date is the birthday of famous director Peter Jackson, who, if you don't know, yes, he's famous for the Lord of the Rings series, but before he became an Oscar-winning director of one of the most epic fantasy films of all time, he was a horror director. I've seen a couple of his horror movies. He did movies such as Bad Taste, Brain Dead, and one that is about ghosts, The Frighteners, which starred Michael J. Fox. Eleanor comes with this adorable pumpkin pail. They all come with one. She has this white dress. It feels like the same material as her ghost costume. Up close, she's a screaming doll. Now, the interesting thing with some of the characters in this particular series, some of them are the character, they are the ghoul that they're portraying, and some of them are just dressed up. So it's like a mixture of, possessed dolls and dolls, who are inhabiting these ghouls. So in her case, she is an actual ghost, as per her chipboard and death certificate. She didn't really come with she didn't really cost a lot. She's one of the cheaper end of the dolls. I paid $37 for her. I believe she was sealed, and she goes for about $50 to $100. And she's a really cool doll. She has very thin hair, and just so you know, her dress is purposely dirty. So again, giving into the whole that she's a ghost and pretty much was floating around the graveyard. So if you do buy her out of coffin, just let you know that these stains are purposeful. And like I said, she is a screaming doll. Not one of the most terrifying screaming dolls. And, a mold that they used a lot. She's just really cool. And all the dolls do come with a cupped hand to hold their pumpkin bucket. And that's all I have to say for Eleanor. The next one, in my opinion, is the most underrated doll of this series, and that is Mishka. What I love about Mishka, now there was a complaint I had from Series 10 with the character Wolfgang, that he had very minimal makeup, and he was one of those Halloween trick-or-treaters that pretty much showed up with a plastic bag and said, here's some face paint, that's my costume. Mishka kind of has that same vibe with her face design, but I feel like she's too cool to be a ghoul, and I just love the little attitude that she has. Now, according to her chipboard and death certificate, she did get bit by a werewolf. So she's one of those kids who unfortunately became became a ghoul during Halloween. She is adorable. She does have these little fangs, and again, with the eyes, she doesn't look like she's out for a kill. That's what I just love about her. She's just really just chilled. She also comes with a bucket. She comes with this really great mask. Now, with the rest of the dolls, I am not going to put their masks fully on them because they are very delicate masks. I'll just hold it up too so you can see it. Now, once upon a time, I used to put these masks on the dolls every time it was Halloween, but I did get nervous because, again, these masks are so fragile that I decided just to leave the mask off. Their chipboards show the mask on the doll, so it wasn't really necessary for me to put the mask on every Halloween. So she comes with this adorable denim-like dress with this plaid shirt. It's all separate pieces. She has these thick black tights. She has these closed shoes that look like they have laces, whereas Eleanor had the Mary Jane shoes. And her hair is a little bit better than Eleanor's, but it's still nice. And she has this little Eddie Munster widow's peak right here. Now, her death date doesn't have anything significant. All these dolls, for the majority of this series, they all have Halloween death dates, either October 31st, October 30th, or within the week of Halloween. But she is just such a cute character. Now, I have her variant. She's the only variant I bought from this series. I didn't really have a desire to get her variant, and I'll talk about the variants in a little bit after I talk about the regular dolls. But I got her during COVID, and it was for a steal at $35. Now, you can't get the variants for that price for each of the characters. So at the time, I was like, why not? That was a great deal. And she's the same thing as Mishka, but instead of green, she's orange or yellowish hue. And her shoes are orange as well. Just such a cute doll, highly overrated doll. She's actually, I want to say, I would say she's my second favorite of the series. My husband absolutely adores her. He actually bought Mishka because he loved, again, the way she has this expression like, yeah, it's Halloween. Oh, it's Halloween again. Give me some candy. And it's just so cute. So she doesn't cost a lot either because she's such an underrated and overlooked doll. So he paid $30 for her, sealed in coffin. And she goes from $40 to $50. Oh, and the variant mask, same thing as Mishka's, but in a orange hue. Okay. And that is Mishka. Next up is the murderous character of Pumpkin. Pumpkin, I think, takes third place as one of the most popular dolls of this series. He has many versions. He has a boxed version that came with a t-shirt and an adult mask. He also was resurrected. I believe, he is the only doll from this series that's resurrected. And unlike these innocent stand-buyers, he is a murderous entity, if you will. He looks like he's dressed as Mike Myers from the Halloween movie series. Now, he comes with this machete, which is covered in blood. And his initial promo photo, he didn't have hair. So I'm glad he has hair. It is a design. They do revisit him without hair for his resurrection. Now, like the other dolls, he does come with a cupped hand, but unfortunately, only one item can go into his cupped hand. So when it comes to his pumpkin bucket, I just hang it like that. That's how he holds his pumpkin bucket. So apparently with this murder and mayhem, he still wants candy. Now, what's interesting about Pumpkin is that he has his face painted as a pumpkin, and he also has a pumpkin mask. So I'll just put that like, so it looks like that. And again, as I said before, these are very fragile masks. So when I bought Pumpkin, he was opened and his mask came a little damaged, which is no big deal. It's fine, as long as the majority of mask is there. But again, just be very careful with these masks. Okay? He has blood on his jumpsuit. It's just the front. It's one piece. Blood on his hands. And he has these shoes. His hair is, it's not the best. But again, I like that he has it versus being bald. Now, his death date is really funny. His death date is the date and year of the broadcast of It's a Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown special. And I just think that's hilarious because if you know the cartoon, I think everyone knows the cartoon. You know, Linus is the believer of the Great Pumpkin. So imagine having this menacing doll have that date as his death date. It just makes you think, oh gosh, what if Linus turned out differently when the Great Pumpkin did appear. So, which is pretty funny. Now, the interesting thing with Pumpkin, like I said, he's third place, is that his pricing is all over the place. And so he has fluctuated over the years. I paid, like I said, he was not new in coffin. I paid $40 for him, and he goes for around $50 to $60. But again, I have seen him fluctuate over the years. Pumpkin also has, he was part of the 2-inch minifigure vinyl line. I'm going to bring my camera to that. Hold on. I didn't feel like taking them out of the display because they are puttied, but these are 3 different versions of the Pumpkin vinyl 2-inch figure. I forgot which series he came from. I'll put a picture in the edit. And so you have the regular Pumpkin with the orange. The middle one is a representation of his resurrection, which is nicknamed Pickle Pumpkin. And the black and white one is also from a resurrection version of him. And those are the 2-inch minifigures of Pumpkin. And that's all I have to say about this murderous character. Next, we have Squeak. Now, Squeak, I think I might be incorrect in that she is second place of the most desired of these dolls. Squeak is so stinking cute. She has this homemade costume, and her bucket came off. I'll talk about that in a moment. Her costume comes with this little tail, which will easily fall off because it's just glued on. Yes, it's just glued on. It's not sewed. So be careful if she's out of box. Make sure you get a picture of that tail, because again, that's her only part. That's the only part of her costume that has a pig feature, and her mask, of course. And like I said, she has this adorable pig mask. I'll put that right on her. Squeak, squeak. And of course, you know, squeak is the noise a pig makes. And like I said, she does come with a cupped hand, but she has these gloves right here. Now, you can choose to have her displayed without the gloves so she can hold her bucket, but I like the gloves look, and so I have her, just like Pumpkin, have it just rest on her hand, or I should say her wrist. Okay. That's another thing too. Be careful about the gloves, because sometimes the gloves will go missing as well. She has this adorable face, really cute. Now, in this instance, Squeak unfortunately was a victim of one of the most uh, um, prevalent things about Halloween, or an urban myth, if you will, and that is the candy not being so good for you, in terms of definitely needing to check the candy. So she became victim of that, very similar to another Halloween duo by Hemlock and Honey. So she has these shoes. Now she has a onesie, so it does cover her feet. So it is kind of wedged in her shoe. I'm not going to take it off because it's going to be a pain in the neck to get her back in those shoes. And she does have those infamous clear bands, which, as you can see right here, it is starting to disintegrate. So I'm going to have to eventually change her out. And like I said, she has really gone up in price. And she can go anywhere from $120 to $150. I paid $120. She was the most I've spent in this series, and that was Sealed in Coffin. That actually was a bid. So she's very popular. And her look is maybe an inspiration from a character featured in the Amityville horror film from the 70s. Her name was Jody, the demonic pig. I'm not familiar with that movie. And her death date doesn't have any link to that movie, so it's just another Halloween death date in the year of 1968, so not sure. But in terms of the year that she died, again, it'll fit into the homemade costumes that were popular back in the day. And that is Squeak. Now, last but certainly not least, the doll that I believe is the MVD, Isabel. Oh my gosh, Isabel. So Isabel is one of those dolls that has been in my collection for years. She was the only doll I had from Series 16 for such a long time. I love this doll. I think she's amazing. She is my favorite doll of this series. Mishka is a very close second. And she has this unique mask, unlike the others. Her mask is more of a masquerade mask, and she can hold it in her cupped hand. Now, the thing about this particular mask, if you do get her and you want to put the mask in her hand, it's best to start at this part of the mask to squeeze it into her hand. It is such a pain in the butt to get in. And so for that reason, I am not removing it, but I will give you an up close of the mask. Really nice. That airbrushing detail is so cool. She also can wear the mask in her eye holes. Again, another doll missing eyes, like Tessa before her. And her mask has these pegs, okay, that go right into her eye socket. Really cool doll. Unfortunately, she does suffer that staining from her dress. And the dress, look at this dress. Like, how beautiful is that? She has these little skulls that go down the center. She has this poofy dress, gorgeous dress, little poof sleeves. Now, it looks, sometimes her dress looks like it's a shiny material that might be like vinyl, but it's not. It's like a fake satin. She has these cute little low-end pigtails, which again has those disintegrating clear ties. She has this cute little bun on the top. Okay. And again, her face is very similar. Well, the eye mold is very similar to Tessa. Okay, she has these little tendrils that are gel to high heaven to keep that shape. Her variant is a doll I really want. I've been trying to get that variant for years. I thought I was going to get her a month ago, and I was outbid. So the hunt continues for Isabel's variant. And just one more thing, this dress right here, it's not painted on. It's like a little bit of embroidery. Actually, it is embroidered throughout the whole skirt. Really cute, really cute. Her death date is interesting. So on October 30th, 2005, actually the year 2005 had a lot of horror films that took place in a cave or a cavern that came out. So the most famous film from that year with that theme was a movie called The Descent. Highly recommend that movie. It's an international film. There was a US release that had a very different ending from the original release. I think it's a Canadian film. I highly recommend seeking out the Canadian release of that film. But her death date was the release date of a very low budget C-level movie called The Cavern, which is also known as Within. And the reason why I think that might be a relation to Isabel is that, spoiler alert, I've never seen this movie. I just read the synopsis, but as a spoiler alert, if you heard of the movie, wanted to watch it, but spoiler alert. So the character at the end of the scene ends up having signs that she was infected from whatever was in this cavern that she survived from. And the infection was at her eyes. So I think that's why they picked that date for Isabel. And there was another movie that, again, same theme that came out. I can't remember the name. But again, 2005 was the year of people going cave diving. I don't get it. But that's Isabella's death date. And like I said, I thought she was the MVD for many years. Like I said, her variant goes for a lot of money in comparison to the others. I think Squeak might be a close second. And I paid for her retail. So since she is my oldest doll, I did buy her the year she came out. And I paid $25 for her. And she goes from $130 to $150. And that is Isabel. Now, they did come out with a variant set. Here's a picture of all of them from that variant set. Now, the variant set was released through Mezco Direct, and they were limited, extremely limited, to 300 sets. And as you can see, they all had the orange and black coloring. They also were the last 4-inch mini sets. I'll show you. I'll bring my camera to that. Look how cute they are. Now, I did talk about them in length in my Living Dead Dolls mini video. I highly recommend it. And here they are, all unmasked. And then here they are, the orange variant version. This time I have them with their mask on. Okay, so as you saw in the picture, the variant set is exactly like this mini set, which also, I can't remember the limit of this series. I'll post it in the video later. But so cute. Happy to have it in my collection. And that's all I have to say for Series 16. As I mentioned, this is not the first time Living Dead Dolls have had Halloween-themed dolls. I also did a video of all the Halloween exclusives. I highly recommend checking that video out. And like their predecessors, they also came with the treat buckets as well. And this is such a great series. In terms of overall theming, they are solid 5 sulfurs out of 5. They are a solid series. And I highly recommend this series in particular to complete. They're just so charming. And I love the different styles of costumes they have. You know, you have costumes that evoke the homemade style from the 20s to the 70s. And then you have costumes that clearly someone had money to buy an elaborate costume. Really great. And they just offer a great snapshot of trick-or-treaters, with the exception of Pumpkin. I'm sure there's no murderous trick-or-treater. So anyway, stay tuned. I'm actually doing a special video commemorating, because 2008, which is when these were released, also marked the 10th anniversary of Living Dead Dolls as a doll company, or as a doll series. So I will be doing a video as a tribute to that 10th year anniversary, featuring the Exorcist, the 10th anniversary Exorcist doll release. I didn't really get to talk about them much in detail in my All Exorcist video, which I did a couple of years ago. So it's going to be a proper video celebrating the 10th anniversary of Living Dead Dolls. Okay? And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe so you can be notified of more videos furthering the discussion of this wonderful series. And remember, do your research and happy hunting.